Welcome to episode 497 of the Recruitment Marketing and Sales podcast. And I'm your host, Denise Oyston. And today we are on episode 4 of this Standing Out in 2026 series. And this is probably going to be the last one. Sharon has recorded a podcast with John Brooks, who is a recruitment pricing expert. Some of you may know of him. He has a podcast as well. And Sharon's done a great podcast with him. So I think we might actually share that one with you as well, because I think that will really help when it comes to standing out and making more money, really getting value from things that you are doing. And if you've missed any of the episodes, you just go back and listen to them, because they do all build on one another. This week, we're going to talk about something else then is the most logical next step. We've talked about getting your mindset right. We've talked about being visible, also re-engaging with your past connections. And this week, we want to talk about something that can completely change how you approach your marketing. And that is creating longer form content that works harder for you. Before you switch off and think, I am not writing, Denise, a 5,000 word report or essays or whatever. Hear us out. This is about working smarter, not harder. It's about creating a substantial piece of content and maximizing that and get mileage out of it in multiple ways that really helps you stand out. Now, that could be a podcast, a report, webinar, or a really sort of detailed blog post. The principle's the same. Create once, repurpose many times. But I'll explain that in the podcast. So let's get into it. Welcome to the Recruitment Marketing and Sales podcast. An obsessive focus on marketing and sales is the only way to accelerate your company growth. So listen in now as we share the latest strategies and techniques guaranteed to deliver you more placements and profits. Well, hi there everyone, this is Denise. Hope you and yours are well as we sort of bring to a close the series that we've been recording for you around standing out this year. And I want to talk more about pillar content, and specifically I'm going to talk about podcasting more than anything else. I'm going to touch on a few other things, but I wanted to talk about that. Now, again, if you haven't listened to the other podcasts, go and check them out. Most of them are about 20-30 minutes long. They're on the website, and you can also access them on iTunes and on YouTube and all of the places. And the topic today is about pillar content. I know that's another jargon term, but let's just think about it of more meaty, longer form content. For those of you maybe that have been doing some social media, been doing a bit of personal branding, this might be the next stage for you. And it's something that we recommend with all of our clients that they move into doing, because it really helps to cement your position and makes things a lot easier for you in the long term. So let me just explain what pillar content means. So as the name implies, a pillar piece is a substantial bit of content, detailed, really does demonstrate your expertise in your niche. It could be a podcast, say for instance like this. It could be a comprehensive blog post or series. It might be a detailed market report. It could be a webinar. All of these are areas where you go deeper into a specific topic. So on a podcast episode, this could be where you explore something really, really properly and you really go down into depth. Now, the key word here is substantial. This is not a quick LinkedIn post or a quick update. This is something more meaty that shows you really know your stuff. And you might be thinking, well, why does this matter, Denise? Because, there's so much short form content out there. Because short form content is brilliant at getting attention. It's just made me think that maybe we need to share a webinar that we did a couple of years ago about the science of getting attention, because that really highlighted why all these parts are important. But it is your longer form content that actually builds trust. Because, have you ever been in that situation when you've gone and read something or you've listened to something, you want to go and find out more about this person? Because when someone engages with your quick posts, generally they want to know more. So they want to actually, does this person actually know what they're talking about? And they'll go looking for you. They'll go looking for something more substantial. So that's why it's really important to have that. They want to validate that you really do understand their sector and their challenges. So I've just explained, we do the same ourselves. So when you're considering working with somebody, you go and look at all of their content, don't you? Not just the odd post here and there. And the research really backs this up. Over 70% of B2B buyers consume more longer form content, often blog content or a report or a podcast, before they make a purchase decision. They want depth. They want evidence. They want to feel confident that you know what you're talking about. So that's the huge benefit of, well, it's just one benefit. I'm going to mention something else now to you as well. That's one benefit of doing this longer form content. The other that is really useful, and we do this a lot for our content clients anyway, it's called the repurposing model. And here's where it gets exciting. Especially if you're in a smaller team and you don't have endless hours for content creation. The smartest companies we work with follow a simple principle. Basically, we create the content for them, but obviously from the context of this podcast, this is about you creating it. And then it can be repurposed into multiple shorter pieces. Now, you experience that from us consistently every week. Now, you are listening to this, maybe you're listening to it on iTunes, Spotify, maybe you're on YouTube, not sure, and you're experiencing it there. You will also on LinkedIn experience a social media post where we share a little bit about what's going on in the podcast, and there'll be a link. It'll take you to the website and you can go there. And of course, this is a podcast that I'm recording. And all of the podcasts that we do have a transcription. So I get a full transcription. So I have this audio recording is transcribed. That transcription is put on our blog post. I create an email from it that you receive. You may have received an email from us this Friday or over the past few Fridays. And you click through. So it adds to our email campaign. It goes out on our social media. It goes out onto our YouTube channel as well. And what we also do, you'll notice that part of the content we then repurpose into short video clips that you will see on LinkedIn and on Facebook and on Instagram. And you'll also see carousels that we create from the content. And so you can see there that there are multiple pieces of content from one podcast. And here's what makes it easier. Let's just establish, we know that content works. It's what smart recruitment companies are doing. And by creating one big piece of content, then that can be sliced and diced in multiple ways. So you've got like that power content already, and you've got multiple pieces of additional content. You've already done the thinking. Now you're just into packaging it in different ways. So let me just talk a little bit more about podcasts, why they work so well. We did do a whole section on podcasts. It might be a couple of years ago now, and I will link to that when I post this. But why do podcasts work so well? So let's spend some time talking specifically about that, because they are particularly powerful for recruitment businesses, because they continue to grow. I'm still astounded they continue to grow in popularity, particularly with senior people in organizations. So let's just say that we're talking about MDs, CEOs, execs, founders. For many of you that are placing senior level candidates, those type of people are all the types of people that listen to podcasts. So decision makers listen during the commute, maybe we're at the gym, or maybe in the evening when they're taking the dog out for a walk, or maybe at the weekend. It's a way to reach them when they're not sitting at their desk ignoring your emails and phone calls. But here's a bit that makes podcasts especially clever for recruitment business owners, and that's, the dual purpose. Because first, they're relationship building and positioning tools. Imagine this: when you invite someone onto your podcast as a guest, and for many of you, doing that will work really well. You reach out to a CEO or an MD, or you reach out to a candidate. You're building a relationship with them. And at the same time, that positions you as the go-to person in your sector. And who might make a good guest? Often your potential clients. Think about it. You reach out to a hiring manager, business owner, invite them to share their experience on your show. That's a much warmer conversation than a cold sales call. You're offering them something valuable, a platform to share their knowledge and raise their profile, and even charging them for it. And as I mentioned earlier with our own podcast, they're content engines. One episode can give you multiple pieces of material that you can share for weeks, and you can reshare them. Now, obviously, I've started this at the beginning of the year. So I will still share this though throughout the year, but many of my podcasts that I record and that Sharon records, then they can be used multiple times during the year because they're evergreen content. So you can see the conversations that these can generate for you. And niche podcasts can reach really specific niche audiences. So, a show about scaling health tech companies, podcasts for legal practice managers, series of finance recruitment trends. When you narrow your focus, you become the go-to voice for that specific audience. And that really does help you stand out. Speaking of the challenges that we discuss on this podcast around attracting the clients that you want and the candidates to fill the roles that you get, it's a competitive market. And Sharon and I have taken some time away from the business to actually put together something that will help you figure out exactly where you stand with your marketing right now. Now, we've created a quick assessment specifically for recruitment search and staffing business owners just like you, and it's designed to help you identify whether you're effectively attracting both clients and candidates with your current marketing approach, or if there are some gaps that you need to address. Now, this quiz will just take a few minutes, and it'll give you a picture of where your marketing is working and where it might be falling short. Because to be honest, in a market where 87% of companies are struggling with skills gaps and candidates are ghosting left, right and centre, your marketing really does need to be spot on. And when you've taken this assessment, we will email you your personalised PDF. So it's personalised to you and it's related to the scores that you achieve and where you fit in a ranking. And what we know works when people are low on one score or high on another. And I think you'll find that incredibly useful too. So if you want to know and find out about your marketing, how it stacks up, then go to superfastrecruitment.co.uk/scorecard. And that will take you to a page, put your name and email address in there, and then you'll go straight into the quiz. And again, it only takes a few minutes. Trust me, it's worth the time, especially if you feel like you're not achieving the results that you want currently with the market the way that it is, and you really want to assess where you are so you can make some changes. So let's get back to that podcast. Now, podcasts aren't the only bit of pillar content that you can use. There's multiple other ones. And actually recording and creating a podcast is not difficult. You need a microphone, you need some software. I still use a piece of software called Audacity. It is free. My microphone is quite expensive, but the software that I record the podcast on is a little bit different. And, head over to one of the freelancing websites, go on to Fiverr. You can get people to actually do the whole podcasting process for you for literally buttons. It does not cost much at all these days. Bit different a few years ago, but now it's just so much more different. But we've talked about podcasts, but there are other forms of content. Podcasting is just one option. So let's talk about a few other things that you can do. Obviously, we've got market reports, salary guides are brilliant for recruitment businesses. You've got access to data and insights that your clients and candidates will find valuable. And I think particularly salary guides work for clients and they work for candidates. Well-researched report really does make a difference. Webinars. Doing a webinar, doing a LinkedIn Live that lets you go deep on a topic. And it also helps you to build your email list because you'll know we do webinars and we have done webinars in the past that we will send an email out and we will post on social media and we'll invite people to join. And that builds our email list. You can invite guests, you share screens, answer questions, all of those things, and the recording becomes an asset that then you can use so much longer after the event. A detailed blog series. I think we talked about Mark in one of the episodes who actually created a blog series that was really, really useful for him. And you could explore a topic thoroughly over multiple posts, a bit like this one has as well. Maybe it's a complete guide to hiring fintech, sales leaders, everything you need to know about legal recruitment in 2026. Whatever that might be, demonstrates genuine expertise and attracts people searching for that specific information. The form matters less than the substance. What matters is that you're creating something substantial enough to demonstrate your expertise. So that is something really important. Now, something else to think about here, and I know some of you will be thinking about this, is that remember, quality beats perfection. You are experts in your niche, in your sector, in your niche. The thing to remember is that you do not have to create a super duper, all singing, all dancing, professional quality podcast. Here's the truth, because I know people get a bit wound up about professional production values, but what you need is valuable content that's just delivered consistently. A podcast recorded, decent microphone in your office, absolutely fine. A report can be created in Word. There are Canva templates that you can use to create reports in Word. We actually provide these for our clients. A webinar run through Zoom works perfectly well. You can share your screen. The key is consistency, and it's not about production value. Don't let that stop you from starting. Your audience cares more about whether your content is useful and relevant than whether it looks like it was made by a big agency. In fact, content sometimes that's too polished can sometimes feel less authentic. So just consider that. Now, let's talk about AI. I often get AI to help me with ideas. I get it to transcribe things for me. I get it to do multiple things. But the thing to do is to think about using it to help you with your research. It will help you be more efficient. Now, the thing to remember is that AI is good, but it's not infallible. And there always used to be this thing, didn't there, years ago, from a tech point of view, that rubbish in, rubbish out. And that's something you need to remember with AI. And do not copy and paste AI content out there without reading it and editing it. Otherwise, it's going to look shocking and it's probably going to come up with some things that you don't want to be going out in front of your candidates and clients. So use it smartly. That's what I'm trying to say. Because if you've got a piece of content, recorded a podcast, you're sharing your genuine expertise and your opinions, so you've got a rich source then of material. Now, that is where AI you can get to slice and dice it for you. It helps you package it. That human element, your knowledge, your opinions, your specific experience in your sector. This is what makes your content valuable. AI cannot replicate that, but it can help you get more mileage out of it. So let's just talk about getting started without getting overwhelmed. Now, I'm going to say outrageous plug for Superfast Circle. We help our clients with marketing collateral that they need. So that removes the majority of the overwhelm for them because it's all researched and it's written by us. But let's just talk about you and getting started without overwhelm. If you are new to creating longer form content, I get it. It can feel daunting. So let's make it simple. Start with what you know really well. What questions do clients ask you about all the time? What mistakes do you see companies making when they hire? What do candidates always want to know about your sector? You already have expertise. You just need to capture it. Choose one format to start with. Do not try and launch a podcast, write a report, run webinars all at once. You just pick one, get good at it, build that habit, then expand. If you want to start a podcast, dead easy, talked about free recording software. Go and have a look at Audacity online. Get yourself a USB microphone. You do not have to have a fancy-pantsy microphone like I do, a podcaster. You may decide to go and buy something else from Amazon. I'm sure you can get something semi-decent for less than 50 quid. And your hosting platform, Amazon, you could be publishing your first episode within a week. And if it feels a little bit more complex, as I've said, jump onto Fiverr, someone will help you with that. If a podcast feels like a bit too much, start with a detailed post. Write a guide to something in your niche, make it thorough, make it useful. Then, break it down into shorter pieces for your social channels. As with all things, it's great to be listening to this to get some ideas. And you don't have to go and research. You've got the information that you need. The most important thing is to start. Your first piece of content is not going to be your best. Trust me. When I've listened to my podcasts from 10 years ago, they're okay, but they're a bit better now. And that's fine. You'll get better with practice, but you can't improve on something you've not created yet. So sort of bringing this series to a close. I know obviously we'll post on Sharon's one in the future, but over these 4 episodes, we talked about mindset, talked about visibility, re-engaging with your database, creating content that works harder for you. If there's one thread that runs through all of this, it's that recruitment businesses that will stand out in 2026 are the ones that commit to showing up consistently, adding value, being visible and valuable. Not perfect content, not content with massive production budgets, just useful, relevant, consistent help and support that demonstrates your expertise. And make sure you keep front of mind. Creating pillar content, repurposing it is one of the smartest ways to do this without burning out. As I've said, one piece of content can power up your marketing for weeks. So here's our challenge for you. Think about one thing that you could do, something that would appeal to you. Maybe it is a podcast, maybe it's a quarterly market report, maybe it's a detailed blog series. Whatever it is, commit to creating your first piece in the next month. So you'll be receiving this probably around the beginning of February, I think. What could you achieve by the end of February? Then, of course, once you've done that, you could repurpose it, get the maximum value from the work that you've done already, and watch how much easier it is for you. So I've talked about Superfast Circle before. You know the drill. You know how we can help. You know that we would provide marketing collateral for our clients, as well as being their outsourced chief marketing officer. And if that's something you want to find out more about, then you know the drill. You know how to get hold of us. And I hope you found this useful. Let me know what you can have a go at. You'll have received an email probably from us. Hit reply. Tell us all of the things that you're going to do. And we'll look for your content out there online. And this is Denise saying bye for now, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoy this podcast and this year you are ready to take your marketing to the next level, then check out Superfast Circle. This is a unique marketing program designed specifically for recruiters and their marketeers. You get access to 2 virtual marketing directors, you get consultancy, you get your hand held through the whole process, training, consulting, and we provide content resources. So go over to superfastrecruitment.co.uk/join and check out what's available.